Good morning. You are tuned in with the Encourage Services Show on Spreaker.com. I am your host, Encouragement Javi. Welcome to the show. This morning we're going to be speaking about structure and balance in your life. The title of the show is Structure and Balance in Your Life. If you're trying to get pencil and paper to write with, I will discuss with you what our organization is about while you're trying to find pencil and paper. Encouragement services is about helping those people who've gone through or experienced some type of traumatic crisis in their life. It could have been through their childhood, could have been as an adult. Some people experience trauma as an adult due through domestic violence or other situations with some type of crisis that perhaps has happened in their life. And our goal is to help one balance and structure out their emotions and mental mindset so that they can regain balance and move on with their life. And our services are free of charge. We are a little bit different because we work on trying to clean the inward person, looking at the self inside and out, meaning we're working on forgiveness and bitterness and learning to love and let go and release some things in our life and lose some people as far as learning to forgive them and going through the steps of forgiveness. If that is something you're interested in, please do give us a call at 1-866-524-4828 extension 2836. Our number again is 1-866-524-4828 extension 2836. Our email address is services@encouragementinthetrauma.org. encouragementinthetrauma.org. You may also visit our website at encouragementinthetrauma.org. And if you're interested in more episodes on the Spreaker show, if you will go to Spreaker, Spreaker.com/user/encouragement, and we have another 41 episodes there that you can listen to. Now, hopefully you have your pencil and paper together. This month at Encouragement Services, we are working on creating a mission statement. Creating your own mission statement. And how we're going to try to tie that into structure and balance in your life is a lot of times when our body has gone through so much trauma, or say if you're one who are working with people and they've gone through so much trauma, even though maybe you haven't experienced what they have experienced and you're working with those people, you may need a downtime to perhaps meditate or to have your body recuperate, because a lot of trauma the person have been through is very abnormal, and trying to help someone like that or just listening to it sometimes can be rather overwhelming, especially if you didn't go through it. So one thing you may want to do is try meditation. If you're one who get up early in the morning or in the middle of the night, maybe you can close your eyes and meditate. Maybe you can walk around the home if you're one who move around and meditate, or maybe you can choose to sit down and read a book. Some people meditate through reading a book about 15 minutes in the morning or at nighttime. And when it comes to reading books, some people may read the Bible. Some people may read books about psychology concerning the mindset, or getting their mind back on track, how to grow as a person. Some people I know meditate on motivational things such as Les Brown, motivational speakers. If you're one who've been through a lot of trauma just about all of your life, even though our bodies are out of trauma, our mind have been in trauma for so long that although the body is out, the mind, if it has been in there for 15 or 20 years, we have to constantly work on. And that's why we have to constantly work on our heart inwardly. And once we can work on our heart inwardly, and we're honest with ourselves, and we acknowledge some things to ourselves, and we begin to create more structure and balance for ourselves, it is much easier for our minds to begin to change about some things then. So what we are wanting to work on today is creating a mission statement. If you have already created your mission statement before from this episode, another episode that we've done, you can choose to write down creating my life cycle. In other words, how would you like the rest of your life cycle to go? Because as long as you're living on this earth, we're gonna have a life cycle, and it's up to you the direction you want it to go in. If you choose to just think about negative things, or just produce negative things in your heart, that takes up a lot of space in your heart, where it's very small positive space or forgiving and accepting yourself and dealing with unresolved issues, then you're going to produce more of the negative spaces in your life. But if you want to have the cycle of life or producing more positive space in your heart, then you have to start working with some things inwardly in your heart, such as if you're a person that have bitterness in you, or you have more hatred in your heart, and you want to not have that 95% there, and you want to have maybe 3 or 5% there, and eventually get it out constantly, and maybe have 95% of forgiveness in your heart and accepting yourself in your heart, then you want to write down creating my own life cycle, negative spaces that are in my heart. And you don't have to show anyone. If you want to put it up in your bedroom or around your home, you can. If you just prefer to keep it in your journal or in a photo album somewhere where only you can find it for you, that is fine. Some people prefer to put it in their diaries. Our bodies have space that we create in our life inwardly, and it's negative space or positive space. And within your heart, depending on what type of traumatic crisis or event you've been through, we have allowed some things to sit. And sometimes when we allow things to sit and get really dusty and stay there, sometimes we don't know that it's there, and we'll react thinking it's very appropriate to act that way. For example, I had a lot of unresolved issues in my life, and it was probably about, I say, a good 98% that was sitting there, negative space in my heart. And I had unresolved issues. It was so many, but I'll say 2 so you can understand exactly where I'm coming from. One was unresolved issues of not knowing I remembered my mother, but I didn't really know her like I wanted, because she died when I was only 4 years old. And then the other issue that I had was not being accepted by my family. So those were 2 main unresolved issues that I had. There were several, I probably had 20 or 30 more, but a lot of times when you especially have been some type of victim of abuse in some form or fashion, especially if you've been a victim with emotional, mental, sexual, and physical abuse, it can really have an impact in the more unresolved issues you'll have. And what I started doing was I decided I was going to take a journey of spiritual awareness. So from 1987, when I had received Jesus Christ in my heart, I began to take the Bible seriously and read the Bible daily. Although I had a lot of issues, but I was more religious than I was having a relationship with God. It was only between maybe 92 and 95 that I started having a personal relationship. When I say personal relationship, what I did was I not only read the Bible and decided to take certain scriptures out where I needed to be religious, but I read it to help me and to benefit me and to show me how to treat other people and how to treat myself and how to begin binding and loosing some things and developing a personal relationship with Christ as far as talking to Him, asking Him for guidance and direction, and going all the way back to my past, meaning finding the root causes of some things. But I didn't do what I did was I did that with the finding root causes of some things around 98, 99, because I'd found myself going through a divorce because I'd married someone that I knew I should not have married, but I wanted a family. So I didn't give God my whole heart like I should have, and I found myself more wounded than what I should have been, because I knew that there was issues that I hadn't dealt with, but I didn't want to deal with them, so I was further wounded. And what I had to do was, once I separated from my ex-husband and I got a divorce, the year before I got a divorce, I started looking into my family history, calling people, trying to see what exactly went on in my past. Do I want to get to know these people? How do I want them to play a part in my life? And from there, I went on to just knowing little by little some things, such as my father, and maybe visiting them and talking to them. And I took a trip for about a year and a half off and on with my children to visit back and forth home and to go to family reunions, because I felt like part of me was missing. And I'm glad that I went, because I wouldn't have known the truth about a lot of things. But I came back more, I think, hurt, but at the same time with more unresolved issues, because when you have certain family members that really don't want to see you anywhere, really don't want to be bothered with you, you are more hurt. It was one way on the phone, and it was a totally different way when you get down there. It taught me some things, but I had not just unresolved issues. There was hatred, there was bitterness, there was unforgiveness. And what I had to do was begin to forgive and let some things go. And it was very hard for me. So for the next 2 or 3 years, from 99 to 2003, I began to let go of a lot of things, forgive. I was still on the path of self-discovery, and started doing a lot of meditation and a lot of repenting about some things, and just asking God to show me His heart and how my heart should be, because I felt like I was so messed up inwardly and emotionally and mentally, and I wanted to be able to raise my children properly, although I had a lot of problems going on with me because I had chose not to deal with them. So what I began to do is, as I began to journey down the spiritual path, it was much easier for me to go all the way back and call certain schools and things like that from where I grew up at, and different people, to want to see about my mom's and father's gravesite, to want to know about my children's side of the family and different things like that. And I also had to ask some people for forgiveness or apologize, and the ones who did and accepted it, that was fine, and the ones who didn't, I just had to learn that it is okay. I did my part by repenting and then by apologizing. So what it began to do for me was create more positive space for me. It was easier for me to be more accepting of myself and forgiving of myself and forgiving of others, and it created more space for me to not be judgmental. That's why nothing that people tell me anymore surprises me, because when people experience so many different things and have grown up so many different ways and have gone through so much trauma, their body reacts to trauma totally different. What they normally wouldn't do, they do. What they normally would do, they wouldn't do. So what we're wanting to focus on is, what negative space do you have in your life? You can write it down, the cycle of your life that you have had, and what you can do. What I used to do is, I had two pieces of paper, one piece of paper that said the cycle of my life, and I will write down bitterness, hatred, whatever it was. Right now we're working on unforgiveness, bitterness, hatred, unresolved issues, uncontrollable anger. Next month we'll be working on some other things with sins of the heart. And as I've written that down, excuse me, when did I start having these feelings? When did this occur? And I began to remember, as young as I was, when it started occurring. And then it dawned on me, this is probably why I'm getting the effects that I am out of life. And I had another sheet of paper that said cycle of life, and I had Javetta's cycle of life. How do I want my life to go now? And I began to write down how I wanted it to go. I began to write down forgiving of oneself, accepting of oneself, but it didn't just happen just like that. Although I written that down, I still hated myself, but I had to come into terms to love and accept myself, because you first have to acknowledge what you did wrong, and if someone else has caused pain on you and you're hating yourself for that, you have to acknowledge to yourself what they did and how you're not responsible for that, but you're now responsible for how you're going to treat yourself. So maybe that's a positive space. If you have that issue, that you could write down, I'm going to treat myself by loving myself, I'm going to treat myself better by loving myself. I'm going to deal with unresolved issues. One thing is with negative spaces, if we have unforgiveness, the positive space, the opposite of that is forgiving oneself. And as you begin to come more inclined with you and going on a spiritual path of forgiveness and learning more about you and meditating however you see fit, it opens up your mind and heart to something totally different that was always there, but maybe you didn't see it. For example, what I did was when I began to, sometimes I silently meditate and cross my legs. Sometimes I meditate and play music. A lot of times I do some yoga and stretch, and I might listen to the guidance of someone as I'm meditating. But I close my eyes and I can hear God speaking to my heart. And as I'm doing that, it makes me aware of some things, of how uncalm I have been, or maybe how negative I have been toward myself or toward someone. So meditation really helps a lot. If you haven't meditated before, you may want to consider meditating. If you're one who enjoy reading, you may want to consider reading. Also, meditation brings out things in us that we've never done before. Once I started meditating, one thing I started doing was jumping rope more. Although I had done it when I was a child, I actually started doing more of it, participated in some contests with my children, and we enjoyed it. And then another thing meditation did for me was it helped me to take up some things I never taken up before, such as judo and things like that, where I thought was impossible and that I could never learn it. It helped me actually learn it, because I got this, all of a sudden, this calmness and peace that come over me that said, I can do this. If I do it one step at a time, I can do this. And my mind was more at peace. A lot of times when we're going through different types of trauma, our minds can get off track and go back to negative thinking if that's what we've been exposed to. And we don't oftentimes think about that because we're used to it getting that way. And as I sit and the more I meditate, I begin to realize, oh, that was negative thinking. Oh, why was I doing that? And it's much easier for me to bring it back on track now. In other words, you can also think much clearer through meditation. As you're creating a mission statement, if you're not doing the cycle of life and you're creating a mission statement, what you want to do, if you have a lot of stress in your life, is write down your name if you would like to. And it's simply, I say your name because you are writing down what you want to do with your life. In other words, you're taking your power back from all the negativity that you have allowed to go on in your life, and you're writing down, what can I create for me in my life? And as you're doing that, you're deciding to open up your heart for a newness of change to take place in your life. And you're recognizing how unhealthy eating, if you have that problem, or being indecisive, if you have that problem, or handling stress, if you have that problem, the wrong way can cause buildup in your life and how you respond to others. So as you're thinking about that, what type of mission statement you want, you want to first acknowledge that you need a mission statement in your life so that you can go in the direction you like to go, because many times we say where we want to go, but we don't have our emotions and mind and heart and balance to get there. For example, I knew that I wanted a family, and I was saying that, and I was trying to work toward that, but I did not complete the proper requirements to get there. I was not financially ready, and I married someone who was not in terms with what I wanted to do. And when I say that in terms, what I mean is someone who was not emotionally and mentally on the same track that I was. So a lot of times when you begin to create your own mission statement, you'll see that maybe you have an imbalance where you're saying this, but you're doing something else. Maybe your heart is doing this, but your mind is doing something else. Or maybe you're wanting that family and you want it now and you're not ready, but you're gonna marry this person anyway and get it now, and don't realize that it might hurt you in the long run. Maybe you don't see that. Maybe you only see the good things to you that's going to come out of it, because you may love that person and you may be ready, but you might not see that that person isn't ready, or that situation may not work out. So creating a mission statement can help you think long term, and it starts by looking in your heart. You want to be honest with yourself and acknowledge what you know to be true that's in your heart. And you want to look in your heart and see what negative space you've created in your life, so that you can see what's holding you back from having the life that you want. The life of, if it's everlasting peace, and simply everlasting peace is acknowledging some things that you see that are not right in your heart, and you're trying to work on it and correct it, and that alone itself can bring you peace, because you're not covering up anymore that you don't have that. You're acknowledging it, you recognize it, and you're trying to take action. And you want to be open-hearted and acknowledge to yourself what negative space you've allowed in your life. And as you do that, you are wanting to be open to change, and you'll learn to create more positive space in your heart and your life. And once you begin to create more positive space in your heart and in your life, you'll begin to see, hey, maybe I shouldn't marry that person right now. It might not be a good thing for us to be together, because maybe we're both not ready. Maybe we're not mentally and emotionally on the same track here. And it doesn't mean that that person is insane or anything. It could just mean that maybe your values and goals are totally different than that person, and you don't realize it until you've dated longer. So with your life mission statement, your mission statement is all about you and what you would like to work on within your own life. What is in your heart that you need to work on? How do you want to grow as a person? What things do you need to let go of in your life so that you can move on with your life? A lot of times we might not want to let go of moving too hastily. I know that I did, and sometimes I moved too hastily and didn't really care, because I was determined to get where I wanted to get, but I didn't realize that there's something called patience and enduring, and maybe long suffering, to where you have to take care of some things first before you just jump into certain relationships. as you read what you've written down and what you want to work on, then you can further write down your life mission statement. And an example of what I did was I began designing my mission statement. I took the paper and put that in the back of a photo album, and I got another sheet of paper and written down my mission statement. And one thing that I have is I am a person whom love myself. Therefore, I will start creating everlasting peace in my life by using more self-control in my eating habits, having better control of my anger, and reducing the amount of stress in my life. Yours may be totally different than mine. I have it every year. I create a different mission statement. I have one up in my home, but then I have a personal one to where no one looks at it but me. And I write down things that I need to work on. If you are creating a life cycle, what you probably want to do is write down, today I decide what cycle I want my life to go in. Today I decide what cycle of life I want my life to go in. And as you do that and you see that you have power to control that, you can decide, well, I no longer want to work out of anger or frustration anymore. I want to work out of peace and dignity and loyalty and self-respect for myself. Whatever it is that you know that have been not good in your life cycle, so that you can bring more structure and balance in your life. It is totally up to you and how you want to do it. I don't know what you've been through. You know what you've been through, and you know what habits or forms of things that you have chosen to take on to try to get where you want it to go, and you know what has worked and what haven't worked. If you have had in your life cycle certain emotions and handled things a certain way because of sins of the heart and it haven't gone so well, maybe you want to consider writing down a new life cycle with how you want your emotions to go, with what you're going to work on inwardly, so that things can work from the inside out. Also, if you're interested in us sharing our life cycle paper with you, as far as how we have it in Word document, or creating a mission statement in Word document and PowerPoint, or us giving you the mission statement that we have, you can give us a call at 1-866-524-4828, extension 2836. Our main number is 419-956-4172, and our email address is services@encouragementinthetrauma.org. You can always visit our website and register online with us or contact us that way at encouragementinthetrauma.org, encouragementinthetrauma.org. That's encouragementinthetrauma.org. And if you'd like to view more of our episodes, please go to Spreaker.com/user/encouragement. And we want to say thank you so much for tuning in and for listening to us and for following us. And thank you for your emails and what you have to say, your comments. We do read them all and we take them very seriously. This is the end of the show. We want to say thank you so much for being a part of Encouragement Services. Please keep the emails coming, letting us know how we're doing and how we have helped you gain more structure and balance in your life. May you have a great day. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, this is Encouragement Jabbing with the E Courage Services Show.